Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to talk a little bit about how I've been getting back into traditional archery. Now, when I say traditional archery, today I'm talking about a recurve bow. This particular one has a wood riser and fiberglass laminate limbs. Some people might not call this traditional. They might want to go back to all wood construction, but for me, I'm going to call this traditional archery. I shot recurves quite a bit as a kid, and I actually got halfway decent at it, but it's been a very long time since I did any kind of serious shooting with a recurve or a longbow. I've been wanting to get back into it for quite a while. I enjoy archery, but I don't find a whole lot of challenge in shooting my compound bow. Those of you that have watched the channel and watched some of my hunting content know that my compound bow setup is nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. But still, it's not that enjoyable to shoot just for fun. So, like I said, I've been wanting to get back into more traditional archery for a long time. But I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money doing it. So I've been looking on and off at takedown recurves the last couple of years and really just have never pulled the trigger on buying a bow. That changed back last summer when a coworker of mine talked me into building my own arrows. Now, I didn't have a bow at the time, but he had several and let me shoot one of his, and he's really involved in making his own bows and arrows. So he helped me put together a set of my own arrows with cedar shafts, dyed turkey feathers, and glue-on nocks and points. I made 6 arrows with an unstained, just a clear coat shaft. And then I've got 6 shafts as well that have a little bit darker stain on them. These are ready to be made into arrows, but I haven't done it yet. You can see that some of my feathers are just a little bit beat up. I've shot these arrows quite a bit. They still fly fairly decent, even though they've got some disfigurement on one feather. So that's the arrows, and that got me interested in finding a bow. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on buying a recurve bow. So I jumped on eBay and searched through the listings for used recurves. And I looked for several weeks before I found one that I really liked and that was a reasonable enough price. This is a Ben Pearson Colt 707. It is a 62-inch long bow, and this particular one is 50 pounds at a 28-inch draw. Now, I was looking for one between 35 and 40 pounds, and that would have been a whole lot better for getting back into it and relearning how to shoot traditional archery. 50 pounds is a little bit heavy for that. That said, with a lot of practice, I've been able to get to where I'm getting my arrows on target fairly consistently at 20 yards. This bow cost just a little bit over $100 to get here, and it included a clamp-on quiver. You can see some marks kind of left over from that. It had a clamp-on quiver and several arrows with field points and broadheads. Those arrows I may try to refurbish and get working again, but we're not going to shoot them for now. It did not come with a string, so I picked up this string from Three Rivers Archery. It was under $20. I picked one of their higher end ones because it wasn't that much more expensive. The rest here and the guard were both very worn out, so I replaced these. I think this set was under $10. And then I added some adhesive rabbit fur string silencers up here on the limb under where the string hits. Not necessary, but I wanted to do that. All told, for the bow here, I'm coming in around 150 bucks, and I didn't think that was bad at all. I don't have around any of my old traditional archery equipment, so I picked up a new arm guard and a new finger tab as well. Now, finger tabs are a bit new to me. I used to shoot with a 3-finger glove, but I've gotten used to it shooting with a tab here. This one I think was $6 from Three Rivers Archery. And the arm guard I grabbed is a little bit nicer one. I don't remember how much this one was. I think it was about 40 bucks, and this is from Shatterproof Archery. I've been watching Kramer Ammons and his bow building for a while. Check out his YouTube channel if you haven't yet. He has an online store where he sells tabs, arm guards, quivers, and I think he's got his own strings and other archery accessories on there. But I got this and it's been serving me very well and keeping my arm from getting slapped. I'm gonna take a few minutes here and warm back up so that you're not just seeing arrows flying all over in the dirt. I'll tell you about how many arrows I shoot to warm up, but it shouldn't take me much. I've been practicing quite a bit lately, and we'll go shoot this thing. All right, so I took 2 groups of 3 to get warmed up there, and I'm at least hitting the target. I have experimented with a couple of different aiming techniques as far as a knocking point of chin-ish or eye level-ish. Typically, I've been using my chin. I seem to be getting pretty good results like that. I'll probably keep experimenting and figure out what works best for me. That does put less strain on my elbow knocking here rather than knocking here, if you can see that alignment difference. I'm not an expert in archery whatsoever. Don't take this as an instructional video. I do have a couple of tips for those starting out in shooting traditional archery. I did read a lot of books about it back when I was a teenager and really trying to get good. And I do not remember the book, but there is one huge thing that stuck with me, and that is keeping the shooting sequence in your head and going through it every shot and keeping your technique the same as often as you can. So those steps are, as I remember them, knock your arrow, take your stance, and feet are lined up, generally pointing towards the target, but not all the way sideways, because that'll lead to more arm slapping, but just a little bit turned towards the target. Pre-draw, draw, anchor, aim, release, and follow through. The follow through is hugely important, especially because there's not a lot of weight out here to stabilize things. You can see that shot was way high, but I hit the target. Let's see if I can bring that point of impact down just a little bit. So I'll knock the arrow, take a stance, pre-draw, draw, anchor, aim, release, and follow through. Now, shot off to the side because you can probably see on the video my follow through wasn't great. My arm tweaked this way a little bit. Okay, let me try to get a little more natural grip and not torque it. Pre-draw, draw, anchor, aim, release, and follow through. That shot was much better, though you can see I didn't hit near the center. I'm not gonna say the steps out loud every time. That would get old for you guys really fast, but you get the idea. Knock your arrow, take your stance, pre-draw, draw, anchor, aim, release, and follow through. That arrow that I missed the target did hit a cedar tree behind it, so I was very careful to check the arrow for cracks, making sure that it wasn't going to splinter apart when I shoot it. And I also straightened the shaft back out. It had a little bit of warp in it, but there were no cracks, no lifted fibers along the edge of the shaft, so it's good to shoot. Let me shoot again here, see if I can improve my group and location on the target just a little bit. Follow through was not great. Elevation was good though. All right, one more group. Can't end without all 3 arrows hitting the target. If you see shots impact to the left, it's generally my follow through. All right, well, that was certainly way better, though, as you can tell, I'm nowhere near being ready to hunt with this. I'm going to keep practicing with the goal of possibly being able to deer hunt with this in fall of 2024. I'm not certain that I'm going to get there. I want to be really confident I can put the arrow where it needs to go, especially because I can't do what I've kind of been getting used to doing with a compound bow and put a heavy arrow right through the front shoulder. I'm going to need, with a recurve and a little bit less energy, to slip that arrow in behind the shoulder, hopefully a quartering away shot, to make sure that I get good contact with the vitals. You can see I need a lot more practice with this to be proficient, but I'm getting there, and it is sure a ton of fun to shoot. If you are thinking about getting into traditional archery, definitely check out some used bows. Make sure that you find one without cracks or splinters or warpage in the limbs. I know that can be hard to do when you're shopping online, but if there's good pictures, you can generally tell most of that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I do stuff like this all the time. I enjoy anything that launches a projectile of any sort. If you're seeing my channel for the first time because of this video, most of the things I do are hunting and rifle shooting related, but there are lots of other things sprinkled in there, as I do like to be an outdoor generalist. Again, thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a good one.